Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got full rockin' my gun out there.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Oh, this hard goddamn work being this good.
One more again, see what I take on your front set, I swear.
You ain't my daddy, are you?
There's gonna be consequences and repercussions.
What time is it? Game time.
Okay, welcome again to the Don't Be Blasé podcast. We're coming to you live from the House of Pain, otherwise known as Snap Fitness in the Adelaide CBD. I'm your host, Pete Caruana, joined as always by my man, Steve Burrows.
Not Scotty. Scotty has
Still left the building. Yeah, he's left the building.
Yeah. How you going, man?
Got omitted.
Yes, he did get omitted, and rightfully so.
Yeah, but before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Larry and Lad. Go see the boys in Region Arcade, get yourself an awesome coffee. This is some pretty sweet tunes, but for now, on with the show. Now, Steve.
Yo.
I think it's time for your favourite thing. You've brought it back last week, and it's only right that we bring it back again today.
Here it is, Turf Freaks. The moment you've been waiting for. It's time for Steve's launch.
Steve, give us a bit of a rundown on the old laundry.
Well, Spee, as you would know, I sent you a text message of a photo, which I will now post up. I say a lot, I always post things on Facebook, I forget to do it.
Still waiting for your post, yeah. You
no.
only ever post things when it's going to prove your point.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't post a lot.
So I'm going to post the photo of my first cut of the lawn.
Yeah.
The first cut of spring, should I say.
They say the first cut is the deepest.
Okay. and there's, dude, let me tell you, there's no brown,
No?
no greys.
Because our man, B. McMahon, was throwing some shade at your grass last week. So,
You know, when I listened to the show back the other day, I was like, man, he went a bit hard in that little letter of his. You know, he glossed over the one-on-one thing, and he went a bit.
Go, can you see?
But he went a bit with the lawn. Yeah, that's personal, man.
You don't talk about a man's wife. You don't talk about a man's kid. You don't talk about a man's lawn.
That's right,
Brett.
Exactly.
Coming for you.
So we mowed it. It looks killer. I trimmed it a little bit as well. Although does anyone know, honestly, how to use a whippersnipper? Now, what I mean, not use as in cut fucking lawn. I mean as in, as soon as that reel comes undone, and then you got to pull it out and pull it through the holes and tighten it up, it's never, ever the same, man. The thing will, like, unravel at the drop of a hat. You're constantly in there fixing it. You do about 3 meters.
Yeah.
And then it's either chopped itself off or...
You remember a couple of months ago when you asked me what makes a man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think knowing how to use it, that might be in there. That's definitely one of the dot points.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'd love to hear from people about their experiences with whippersnippers.
Yeah.
Because...
Electric or regular?
It's the same. It's the same.
Same?
It's the same. The next one, neighbour said one day, he goes, Steve, can you give us a hand with his whippersnippers? I went over there, like, pretending I knew what the fuck I was doing. Because, like I said, as soon as it unravels, as soon as these things, like, fall apart, it's really... Yeah, it's 50-50 if it's going to work again or not, as effectively as you want it to.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I've only got one of the nylon fucking whatever it's called coming out of the holes. The other
Snippers? Or the whipper?
Oh, yeah.
You've only got one whipper left.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I found that funny. But the lawn looks good.
Yeah?
I think. Yeah, no, I think
It didn't look too
considering,
bad. I want to see some
bounce back.
Need to see the back lawn because that's always the pride and joy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
How's that coming along?
Well, I mowed that as well. That is lacking a little bit of colour, though.
Yeah?
There it is. So,
I thought you preferred that your neighbourhood lacked a bit of colour. Is that not to do with the grass, Steve?
Not on air.
I like bringing back the gimmicks where you're a drug addict and a racist. We've skipped over it for a while. I think we need to bring it back. Just bring back all these horrible vices that aren't true, by the way, but still funny when he tries to deny them. Because anytime you deny it, you just sound guilty.
That's right, man. I'm defending myself over something. Anyway. Speaking of defending themselves.
Well, you're right. We did get another letter through the editor. Nothing from our loyal listeners.
No.
But one from a pretty disloyal listener. Man by the name of Greg. So he's written in again. Now, this one, Steve, I'll be honest with you. I've read it before. Bit spicy.
Oh, dear.
He's even ripped off one of your old catchphrases.
Oh, there we go.
Started the message with, Sup, y'all?
Whoa. You've been
Now-
telling my lawyers about that.
I'll let you know. This whole thing's written in capitals.
Oh.
So we've started with a sup, y'all.
Sup, y'all. That's a good start.
And then first question. Have you tried meth?
Oh, just get straight to the point.
Oh, we're going downhill fast.
Wow.
You know when you're like first, have you ever been skiing?
No, I've never been skiing.
Okay, this analogy's not going to work for you. But first time you go skiing...
I've seen it before.
Yeah, I'm aware you have.
Yeah.
But you have your skis going straight line. So when you go down, you kind of want to turn sideways, get them on a little angle to turn, so it slows you down. But if you don't know how to do that, you're just going head first straight down very, very fast.
Mountain.
Down a mountain. I feel this is where this letter is about to go.
Oh, dear.
You really should. It's great. I wasn't going to, but then my friend Randy, who lives behind the dumpster at McDonald's, handed me some. I have to shout this out because it's all in capitals. And now I can't get enough. It motivates you to do so much. I bet Nancy's going to love the new and energetic and driven Greg. I don't think this is going to work, mate.
No.
But I keep going. This is one of the long letters.
Okay.
I've got so many great ideas to make money, like a drive-through window at Bunnings for sausages, or a second-hand store to sell unused medication, and so many other great ideas. Greg, maybe have a sit down. Take a Panamax. You're having a fucking heart attack. You need to calm down. There's more.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, oh, mate, when you've got, you're on meth, allegedly, you've got all the energy in the world. You would know that from your dead. You guys have sent me on off my original path in life, and obviously the universe is telling me that I'm destined for greatness. You know, like Brownlow medalist Ben Cousins. Anyway, I better get going. So much to do, so little time. Peace. Mate, I'd recommend a rehab centre.
Yeah, wow.
I'd reckon maybe not approach Nancy in this tone of voice. Now, I don't know if he was shouting, but it was typed shouty. It looked quite shouty in the print. So I don't know if that's
quick.
what he was going with.
And quick.
Oh, yeah. Well, apparently that was his problem in the first place.
Hey.
All of a sudden we've got morning
We're
zoo. But Greg, I wouldn't recommend it. I always say there's no fun doing anything once, but maybe if you've just done meth once, maybe we can stop doing it now.
Yeah. Stop hanging out with Randy.
Yeah, Randy
doesn't
doesn't
like
sound... He sounds too savage for you. And I see what I did there. That was clever, Randy Savage. Straight over your head. I'm wasted with you, Steve. I am too funny for your limited IQ. Anyway.
Your IQ is so macho compared to mine.
Oh, you just... Once again, what have I told you about trying to get material from me? Terrible, Steve. This is why I have a sore neck all this week, carrying you on the podcast. Anyway, Stephen, had anything good to eat recently?
Tell you what, on last Friday, I worked late at my work and got home. I hadn't eaten much, and the wife said, "Look, do you want quick something to eat? I'll just chuck something in the oven." I said, "Yeah, whatever. I'll eat whatever." And she just made one of them little pizzas, like the frozen pizzas. Yeah. So she come out and she gave it, and I remember eating it. Yeah, no big deal. I've had them before. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I did not feel well at all, and Sophia got up. So
got the sweats.
Yeah, she got up. That's right. I was uncomfortable. I was rolling around in bed, and Sophia got up. So I was bringing her back to bed, and as soon as I stood up, I could feel something in the belly. I was like, "Geez, that's not good." So by the time I got,
and you thought, "Oh no, I'm going to get to work because if I'm going to poo, I'm going to go to work."
I got
to shower at work.
And so I sat down on her bed while she lay down, and she had like this little bowl thing near her side of her bed.
Yeah.
And out it comes.
Oh wow!
Huge.
Spew.
Big time. Like
he's gonna puke. He's gonna. Is that was she doing that? Because if she was, she's already my favourite child in the world. No. I'm guessing you haven't shown her Beyond the Mat yet.
No.
Okay.
No, I have not seen Beyond the Mat. I saw it many years ago, but no, that's not Sophia viewing. So anyway, I was puking up real bad, which woke up the wife. She come down, I was like, "Stevie, what the hell's going on?" I said, "Oh, no, I feel, you puke and you feel a bit better afterwards, So I said, "No, she'll be right." So I flushed her down the toilet and I tried to go back to bed.
Yeah.
And about 40 minutes later,
back
up
again.
And I got up, I was like, "What the fuck?" So I thought I'd quickly go to the ensuite. Didn't get to the toilet bowl.
Oh, no.
Over the counter, over the mirror.
Because that's fine when you're a kid, because it's just... Mum! And then she got... Now you're got to clean it up.
Dude, it was so bad. So I ended up... Because it was so, it was
violent.
Purging and violent. So I didn't even want to leave the basin, the sink. So I was just puking in my side of the sink. And, and then eventually I got my way to the toilet. But then, I had to clean out, which was literally scooping.
Oh.
It was dreadful, man. Anyway, so the worst thing about it, other than feeling sick for 3 or 4 days afterwards, and I had Monday and Tuesday off, was my bulking.
Yeah.
Ultimately that's what I was thinking at the end of it.
Oh, the gains, bro.
The gains, bruh. I dropped like 4.8 kilograms.
Jesus.
4.8.
That's probably all good muscle too.
Yeah.
You don't look like you've lost any body fat.
I was thinking, it's funny you say that, because just before I come here, right, I ate the worst protein bar ever, right?
Yeah.
And then
mate, they're fucking, as a seasoned protein bar, they are fucking hit and miss.
Dude, and now I feel bloated as shit. So I've got to suck in fucking front of Speed and the podcast and shit. And, sorry, I don't think it's I'm all fat, but anyway, so it was bad. So I'm down to I was 98.8 kilos pre puking.
Yeah.
And the other day I was 93.9 or some shit. I was like, what the fuck?
That's a big drop.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I just cracked the ton the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, good. Is that congratulations?
Yeah, happy with that.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Well done.
I was happy with that. I sort of stepped on the scale and even did the old... I usually sit around, between your 97, 99. And I stood on it. It was just 100.0. And I was just almost like Homer, ooh,
yeah.
Oh my.
Did you take your belly off the rack?
No towel rack. But I did raise the bat. I turned around to everybody, looked at the pavilion, raised the bat, hit the ton. Definitely. I don't like hitting the ton. My body doesn't. There's something about hitting 100. My body just goes, ooh, that's a bit heavy.
It is heavy.
Because my body likes to sit. Realistically, my body would like to be 88, 90. But I like to put on a bit of exercise.
Of course.
So sitting at 98, 99, I can function. But as soon as I get to 100, something about it, my joints just start going, ooh, you're a bit heavy now, mate. You need to back it down a bit. So I will try to lean out a little bit, drop a couple of kilos. I'm probably not going to do the bulimia avenue that you went down. Because I know you felt guilty about your pizza.
Yeah.
But, I understand. Every now and then you have some food mishaps at home. We even had one the other day with Satan. So on Wednesdays, I go to wrestling training, and so it's her turn to cook. 9 times out of 10, I cook, but, on Wednesday, she cooks. Get this fucking frantic message. Shit, burnt dinner. I'm like, well, how burnt? I used to live on, and when I was a young lad, I've lived by myself since I was 20. I've burnt my fair share of meals. You just eat around the burnt stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Scrape it off.
I'm like, how burnt we look? You show me a video, I'm like, that looks fine. It just looks smoky. You know what I mean? So get home, and it was a little bit burnt, but it actually still tastes good. I'm pretty easy as far as eating. This wasn't even as bad as it got. So the next day, we always sort of pack food away, and then put it in the fridge, get it out the next day, and eating that the next day. No worries. Yep. All of a sudden, on Thursday morning, just hear this fuck from the kitchen. I'm like, what? She goes, left the food out all night. I'm like, oh, man. So not only did I get burnt food for dinner Wednesday night, I had to go buy lunch on bloody Thursday.
Oh, no.
So I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'll just cook from now.
Yeah. That burn thing reminds me of a funny scene in a film, our favourite film, is when in Life, and Eddie and Martin Lawrence are in prison.
Eat the toast.
And he's got the toast.
Scraping it.
And everyone just stops and looks like, what's going on over here? He's like, you can't see, but he's shaking his head. He's scraping away with the spoon. And
trying to scrape the burn off there.
Which then starts off one of the funniest little monologues ever.
The cornbrid.
Yeah. The dialogue with that, and then he starts going off with his monologue about, heard of Rand Claude's killing
New York City. You mess with us, it's consequences, repercussions.
One of my favourite scenes in the film.
So that's a recommendation. That's from both of us. We've been recommending. We cannot recommend Life enough. So if you're listening to the show for the first time, or the 52nd time, unfortunately for you, we mentioned just get around Life. I just really want, and we want some feedback on it. We want people who have seen it. Maybe have Life parties, have everyone come over, celebrate Life as a film, and just life in general.
Just life in general.
But before we get through that, Steve, new segment, doesn't have music yet, Big J. Just saying. Steve's movie recommendations. Because last week, what we do in the shadows, mate, that's been getting thumbs up, double thumbs up. All the actual messages I've been getting from people. Everyone's like, tell Steve, great movie. Tell Steve, great movie, great movie, great movie. It's just been getting the same review from everyone. So I am going to make the effort to try to get on someone's Netflix and watch that one. But what have you got for us this week?
Well, actually, this one's from the vault from many years ago.
We got a classic.
We're going classic.
Old school.
It's a classic Western, actually. It's a classic Western from probably 1987 or something like that. And I had not seen it for so long. I remember as a kid I watched it and I thought it was hilarious. But I haven't watched it and it was I think it was on Netflix or Stan, one of those two. I thought, oh yeah, I'll just give it a watch. Yeah, Sophia was sitting next to me, so I thought it was a kid-friendly film.
Yeah.
And it was Three Amigos.
All right.
The Three Amigos, which is Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and
Martin Short.
Martin Short, right. And I went in there.
It doesn't get any more 80s in that trio,
doesn't it? That's right. And apparently Steve Martin and Martin Short have done their own comedy specials since then. But anyway, I was watching it and I went in there with a little hope. I was thinking, oh yeah, it might be worth a laugh. And I remember a really funny scene when they were in the desert and they were drinking the water. And anyway, so I thought, well, at least it's got that. I'll watch it until that. Let me tell you, Speed, that film is hilarious.
Now...
No, I mean proper hilarious.
Now, the thing is that I always get concerned with, because, like I said, I watch that Honest Trailers. I told you about Honest Trailers. I watch them every week, and they talk about, like, this week they did Predator.
Okay.
Because obviously the new Predator's coming out, so they did an Honest Trailer on the last Predator.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's action scene, there's all these, characters and this and that, and it's like perfect action movie. It's got one-liners, it's got this, maybe they could possibly remake it exactly the same today. And then it has that scene with, Jesse the Body Ventura, like, oh, you limp-wristed faggots. Just like, ooh, maybe we can't play that. So is there any of that comedy that you kind of, in that movie, because I can't remember, I haven't seen it for a long time.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's like that borderline, I mean, what would you know that's racist? Because you just probably laugh at that and go,
I was on drugs, unless if I remember anyway.
But I'm saying, is there, like, you go back and watch stuff like Caddyshack to me holds up,
sure,
but you can't remake that now because it's so inappropriate.
Yeah.
Same as like Animal House, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is it legit clean all the way through? Could you just redo it now and watch it?
Yeah.
Or are people going to come back and go, oh, this is homophobic?
No. Look, there might be. I would think they'd be reaching.
Yep.
If they were going to say that, because it was actually in the kids' list.
Yeah.
So it must be reasonably sanitized. And that's another reason why I thought, it's not going to be funny. It's based for kids, but. I don't want to fuck up any of the jokes. So I'm pretty good at fucking up jokes like that.
Yeah, I don't want to, but I will.
But it's just some really, really funny, well thought out scenes. Like basically the synopsis of the film is that there are three actors from Hollywood.
Yeah.
And they get fired.
Yes.
They get fired from the job because they're not drawing.
Yeah.
But in their heads, they're reasonably big stars. What happens in there's a little town in Mexico which has been run by this villain and his gang. What happens is that a young girl and her brother happens to catch Three Amigos on like a movie screen.
Yeah.
And they think it's for real. So they go actually and engage the Three Amigos to come over to rescue them, thinking that they're three legitimate, heroes.
That's the one thing I like with the Telegram, with the infamous, whatever his name is. He goes, infamous? What does that mean? I think that means more famous. That's the only gag I remember from the movie. It just always cracks me up.
Right, exactly. And then the Three Amigos are actually under the assumption that it's actually a show. They're being paid
for an acting gig.
So when it comes time when when they actually finally meet El Guapo, who's the bad guy, then that's when it obviously becomes it unfolds. But there's so much funny bits that happen in it, and I only watched the first 45 minutes, so I can't speak for the whole film. But there's just a bar scene that I really would love you just to go check out. You probably can see on YouTube.
Yep.
There's a German guy. I think he's an arms dealer, and he's going into Mexico to deliver all these guns to El Guapo. And he goes into the bar, and it's a rough as guts bar. Everyone's around there, and they all got, they all look like the traditional, like in those era, the Mexican guys that hardened and they've been working, and
just a whole bar of Danny Trejos.
Yeah, exactly. It's very scary. And the German guy comes in, and he's wearing like the old pilot hat, the rubber, the leather hat. Sorry. And he goes in, and he basically says, "Look, I've got some friends coming." And then someone speaks up. He ends up shooting about 4 or 5 guys. He goes, well, look, these guys, when my friends arrive, you better treat them with more respect than me because they're not as forgiving as I am. He leaves into the Three Amigos and everyone's shit scared of him, right? Look, I don't want to fuck it up because it is so funny and I would love for people to watch it back and then tell us how on the money I was.
So we've got to get 2 things now. We've got to have your life parties So do a double act.
Oh, please.
Maybe, just grab a hot bag off Steve. You know, if you have trouble staying awake for 2 movies, and you guys can just rack up lines and watch 2 films back to back and enjoy it. Or maybe just on separate days. You know?
On separate days.
Whatever works for you. You know, we're all about whatever works in your schedule.
Yep.
But so if you had to choose one for them to watch for this week,
that's
Three Amigos or Life?
Oh, well, look, I'm always going to go live, but for the purposes of this exercise, I would like them to watch Three Amigos because I watched it, I thought it was very funny, and I'd like to see, you know, where's the barometer? Am I on the money of this one or not?
Because, I mean, you are hit and miss with your comedies.
What?
Yeah, Steve, come on now.
I am on point. I'm probably the best comedy critic going around, man.
Yeah?
Not trying to hype it up or nothing.
Yeah. I don't want to tell you I'm the best, but, you know. I mean, I'm competitive at everything. And if you disagree with me, I'm going to storm off at a huff and then complain when you guys start another podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Also called Don't Be Blasé.
The real Don't Be Blasé. So, yeah, I would love for people, because, you know, people our age would remember...
Well, I remember it too, and I mean, admittedly, that if you say like, what would people find offensive? That the way you were describing that bar scene, I'm just like, oh, people are going to cut up rough about all the ethnic stereotypes. But that's just I don't buy that bullshit. No. So I will enjoy watching it. I do want to watch it back because I was a huge Chevy Chase fan as a kid.
Oh, he's so funny.
Me and my brother, I think the first time we saw Fletch, I think we laughed for about a week straight, just off the the bit where he gets a colonoscopy or whatever it is, gets his exam. No. He's just I
remember Fletch lives better than I remember.
No, he was just sort of just because it's just the thing that me and my brother always just sang, because he's bent over the table and the doctor comes up behind him and he's just like, Moon River.
Yes, I remember that.
And he's like, after I left Dr. Jellyfinger's office, it was just those gags back to back. So much so that my boy Frank Ocean, that I love, R&B singer, did a cover of Moon River last year, brought it out just as a single and put it out. But as soon as I heard it, all I can think of Chevy Chase. It's one of those things that song, because he sang that one line, that song will always be synonymous with Chevy Chase getting a rectal exam.
Well, let me tell you, Chevy Chase is gold in this film. Actually, I would give him the nod.
Yep.
Over the 3. Martin Short's not very funny, I don't think.
Martin Short is the perpetual sidekick. He's a great he's not even the great sidekick. He's the perfect third amigo. Even if I've seen him in other things, I'm like, nah. If there's 2 other strong characters and him, he's great. Yeah. But if he's the second one, it's kind of like, this is pushing it a bit. Yes. I'm not a huge fan.
No, me neither. But Chevy Chase was very, very funny, and Steve Martin, he's good. He's hit on me. I'm not a big stand-up fan of his. Have you seen a stand-up from the old days?
It's more sketchy. Yeah. It's almost like the old Rowan Atkinson stand-up. Oh, okay, it's not so much stand-up. It's all little live sketches and performances and stuff.
And very over the top. Yeah, with his goofy characters and stuff. But in this film, though, it's really good.
Yeah, it's sort of like, have you ever seen Robin Williams stand up?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Wasn't a big fan of that, and so much so that, once again, going back to what I said last week when I was talking about listening to that podcast with Jay Leno.
Yes,
he goes, Robin would go on stage and then come back and speak to Jay and go, he would kill. People are standing, woo, screaming and hollering and stuff. He'd walk off stage and he'd be got the best reaction ever. And he got up to Jay and he goes, how much of that was funny? And Jay would be like, maybe half of it. And he goes, yeah, I thought so. He goes, he was just so famous that people were just cheering regardless. Right. You know what I mean? But he knew deep down it wasn't funny. People were just going off reputation. So, yeah, that's what the problem with their stand-up, that was a lot of that. I didn't enjoy their stand-up because a lot of it, after a while, they just played off reputation more so than the quality of the actual material.
Yeah, and that's what Eddie Murphy talked about that when he was talking about coming back for stand-up. He goes, how can I do it? Yeah, because it's not like in the old days where you'd go from town to town and you would work on things and, was it funny, was it not? You'd eventually come up with the raw, what we saw as raw and it was delirious, It wasn't just one day he rocked up and did that. He'd done lots of stand-ups before then and he worked his stuff. He goes, as me now, he goes, no one's going to I can't have that. Am I funny? Because people are going to laugh anyway. Yeah. Or people are going to boo.
Yeah.
Either way, because they're going to cheer me just because I am Eddie
who
Murphy.
He is, yeah. Or he's too famous now to get back to...
Yeah, so how can he go back and do a stand-up?
Yeah.
And I guess, that's what maybe Steve Martin or Robin Williams were talking about.
Well, it's one of the things that... Because we talk about, sort of classics. So I put something out on my Instagram the other day, because we're talking about classics. And Now, I put something out there that our man Jeremy from Big Jez from Larry and Lad took issue with today. I put something on my Instagram story, took a screenshot of the track that I was listening to. It was Victory by Diddy featuring Biggie and Busta Rhymes. I wrote, this is Biggie's greatest verse. Fight me.
I'm competitive. I'm competitive.
So much so that when I went to pick up the old Long Black this morning, got Jeremy pull me aside and go, yep, not his best verse.
Okay.
Jez, mate.
Oh, well, there we go.
Jez is throwing out there, Long Kiss Goodnight.
Okay.
Now, good.
Okay.
But I don't think best.
That sounds
So
like
I
best.
said, look, if it's not Victory, then it's Kick in the Door. The first verse in Kick in the Door was classic.
Right.
You know, like I always think of anything that you can remember, like any song that makes you, like when you're in the car and you're like, rapping along in the car and stuff like that, and you hear it come up, you're like, oh, get ready for this. You start to sort of like almost in the car, you start to loosen up. You're like, I hope I don't pull up at the lights because I'm really going to go in on this. You know? Like, so what would you rate if you can be a tiebreaker between, say, Kick in the Door, Long Kiss Goodnight, Victory, or anything else? What's getting your nod for best Biggie verse?
Well, you're going to hate me for saying it, Steve. Yeah, and you probably know where I'm going with this one.
Oh,
But,
don't.
But my favourite Biggie verse
It's not.
is because he collabed with the best hip-hop group of all time.
Oh, fuck off.
Was called Notorious Thugs.
Yeah.
And it just straight up, because what happened...
Who was that with?
You know who was with the motherfucker.
Was it because people at home don't know that are listening to this because you're talking about some no-name band from the 90s. Now, if you want to just fill everybody in on who was on this track with them.
They're from Cleveland's meanest. They're from, they're called Bone Thugs Army. You know who they're called, motherfucker? You know who they are. Crazy
The
Bone,
Thuggish
Busy
Ruggish.
Bone. The Thuggish Ruggish. Thank
Yeah.
you. Look, okay. It's called Notorious Thugs.
Yes.
It kicks off disc 2 on Life After Death. Okay,
Yes.
it's the first track off the rank. And Biggie. Look, I mean, obviously, I've looked into this before, researched a bit about it, and you can call bullshit if you want, I guess.
Yeah.
But when they went in and recorded, Biggie, and along like people like Jay-Z, they were known for not writing a lot of shit down.
Yeah.
They would go. They knew what they were going to say. They had a
rough idea.
Fair point, but I won't call it freestyling, but they wouldn't be scribbling down on pads and shit like that, and then they wouldn't go off and read off a script. So what happens when they were recording and Bone dropped a lot of their stuff, Biggie actually went back home.
Yeah.
He didn't record on the same day. They sort of been messing around, and he was so impressed with what had been laid down that he actually went back to the lab, as they say, and then came up with his verse. And he came up with a fucking corker of a verse.
So, but what makes this one the best? Because my argument...
Only because I can sing the whole fucking thing, pretty much. I don't know. Like,
because the reason why,
I love it.
like, Victory gets a nod for me, not only because the beat is the track from Rocky.
which is so cool.
Yeah, which is a really good track. But because my big thing is, we grew up, I mean, we're sounding really washed, but we grew up with hip-hop that was, like, the whole point was, I mean, when it first started in the 80s, it was just like, my name is but everything kind of did rhyme, but sometimes they just made it rhyme for nothing. Then came that era of guys that made shit rhyme but didn't make it sound like they were trying to make it rhyme. It just rhymed. So the thing that always stood out to me was, I'm used to hearing people sort of rhyme short words.
Okay.
Francis M to the Is H phenomenal, gun rest under your vest by the abdominal. Fucking phenomenal with abdominal. You've got my vote for best verse of all time. That is classic stuff. And it's just so seamless. That whole verse, it's got some other killer lines in it too. But I just remember that one line stood out to me. I'm just like, that's the one. That has to be the one.
Well, I just like how it opens. He's like, I'm the dangerous. Ain't too many can bang with us. Straight up, we no injured us. Label us notorious. Like, it just
you
blows,
thought you were bad at telling jokes, Steve. Turns out you also butcher other people's tracks.
I was just trying to say it slow for the listeners.
Okay, for the listeners,
and you.
Not quite at Busy Bones
No,
pace.
but it just kicks off like, and you guys, label us notorious, which he rhymed with the previous, 3 or 4 lines, and it's just, and it goes on, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's a killer verse, and it's one of my favorite Bone Thugs songs, so kind of works out.
Well, okay, so that one, I mean, for anyone that's sort of a hip-hop head that's listening to the show, we've got four attempts at the throne, and maybe you want to throw in a fifth or a sixth.
Yeah.
But this is one that we want to get a bit of feedback on if we can, So we're going through Victory, first verse.
Yep.
I'm going to throw in first verse of Kick in the Door.
Yep.
Because, the one thing that makes Kick in the Door even better?
What's that?
Is because on the actual album version, if you get the actual album version rather than there's a version of Kick in the Door on the soundtrack to the Biggie movie.
Okay.
Where it's just the track. Which is cool. But the actual Kick in the Door on Life After Death is after the Mad Rapper sketch.
Okay, yep.
And I used to love the Mad Rapper sketches. That one, so it's like, you hear this Mad Rapper sketch, which is really funny and really good, and then it just cuts straight into the track, and then Biggie comes straight out the gate with like some rhymes. I'm like, that one's a close second for me.
Okay.
Anyone that wants to vote for Jeremy and Long Kiss Goodnight, don't think Jez is getting a lot of support there. Just stick to Making Coffee Power. We love you, but, maybe you lost this one. Or... Thuggish Ruggish.
Oh, Thuggish.
Notorious Thugs from Young Steve. So
and it's got a killer hook as well when they talk about Bone and Biggie. Yeah. Bone and Biggie. Yes, it's killer, man.
Biggie.
It's really good.
Let's just repeat the same
thing. It's a hook, man. It's a chorus, man.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So is there any other classics you can think of? Step away from Biggie, because I like this topic.
Yeah.
What other tracks have you ever thought like, fuck yeah, I love that's the one?
Oh, from our day, we're talking like, my music catalog probably goes back to sort of the late 80s, I guess, NWA and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of music that's popped in my head. A lot of it's gone out of it. But one verse I can really recall, and I've listened, it's probably maybe 10 years old. I don't know how old is that album, the Eminem Recovery album.
That's at least 10 years. Yeah.
Is that 10 years old
probably
now?
Coming up on about 8 or 9,
Yeah. There's a song that he does with your mate, Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
And it's called No Love.
Yeah.
And it's kind of got that, the sample from the Night of the Roxbury
What is
song.
Love? Yeah.
Which made my ears prick up initially.
I'm big on samples. Any old sample songs,
And he comes up with it, and he actually... some of the things he says in that songs were in... it's just look, I can't even repeat it, but some of the lines he drops are just brilliant, and you actually hear Lil Wayne laugh in a couple of the lines he says. They call me freaks because I spit on these pussies before I eat them.
Yeah,
and that's killer, man. Like,
where the fuck is Kanye when you need him?
Where the fuck is Kanye? Yeah, get these whack rappers off the stage. Where's Kanye when you need him?
Yeah.
Like, that's brilliant, man.
Yeah, he was very. That was probably his last. Like I said, obviously the new one we talked about this last week or a couple weeks ago. But that album there had some lines and some of those songs were just like, ooh, that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, anything where you can get a good solid thing where it rhymes, but it doesn't sound like they're trying, but it's clever and you're listening to it. I'm like, yeah. So mine's not quite as lyrical, but mine just got me in a good mood. I'm just thinking about it now. Is the last verse, so like the third verse or something from Tupac's "I Get Around."
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, I Get Around, somewhat of a scumbag anthem. And let's be honest, Young Spee, somewhat of a scumbag. So I just enjoyed that. It was the playful nature of basically just letting girls know that, yeah, you can come tonight, but you're not staying. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Tupac, and this might sound a bit Captain Obvious, but it has to be said, is old Hit 'Em Up.
Hit 'Em Up. So we bring this up a lot.
He has two verses in that song. And plus, I don't even know what that third bit is where he just goes off.
Oh, he just starts yelling.
I don't know if that's a verse.
Yeah, that's not a verse. That's just him.
But even that bit is pretty killer.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. But yeah.
So that, that whole song,
so just first off, fuck you, bitch, and click your claim.
Exactly. And we're talking about when we was kids, we were singing that song at the top of our lungs.
Oh, yeah, I remember singing it in the car with my mum. My mum just looking at me like, what are you listening to? And I'm just like, everything. I knew every line in that song, especially all the Tupac stuff. I was like, the whole thing. I just remember one time we were doing like I think we were going to like Ardross or something, like going for a stay in a cabin somewhere. And I just remember it was my turn. Like, let me put a tape on. Put a tape on because we're washed and old. We had tapes in our car. Yeah. And I put that on, and I just remember Mum just looking at me like, "What the fuck do you listen to?" And I knew every word. I was just going. I was going ham, Steve.
Yeah, you went ham
in the front seat. Oh, I was loving life. Even doing the last bit, the real angry stuff.
Yeah.
Might need to call somebody for this.
Excel. I remember in those days, like if there was a tape in the player, and I remember like. You had 60-minute tapes, you had 90-minute tapes, but and you have a fair idea of what songs are on there. So rather than having it in there and rewinding, you get a pencil and you would spin it like this and it would actually rewind. I remember those. That was so funny. Another song that I love hearing it every time. So, and it's just so I think he's got 2 or 3 verses in it. Is Nas's New York State of Mind song.
Yes.
And that's from his
this
first
is like
album.
us sounding like classic. This is real hip hop, kids. Fucking,
that's right.
You guys don't know shit. You little pumps and stuff like that. You guys need to go back. But that was fucking like that's off that Illmatic.
Yeah, Illmatic.
Which he now tours just doing that
That's
album.
right.
Because that album is classic.
It is. It's one of I remember at the time it was the only album, maybe one of 2. I think Biggie got one which had the 5 mics in the Source album. You know, there were so many albums out and the 5 mics. You know, who got the 5 mics? Yeah. You know, and that album got one. And that song is. I mean, there's like. I think it's about 10 songs deep or something that album is, and they're all fucking awesome. So, but that one sticks out for me the most.
Yeah.
And everything in that song. So
for next couple from I've got 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Both Kanye tracks, but not so much just for Kanye. So Kanye on Drive Slow, which is on Late Legislation.
Yeah.
Because it's like I said, I enjoy a story being told. Like I enjoy a story in my porn. I enjoy a story in my wrestling. I enjoy a story in my hip hop. I enjoy stories.
Yes, you do.
So the story told in the first verse of that one is basically like about him growing up, and he had a mate that sort of came up on a bit of money, and they were sort of cruising around together, and this and that, and blah blah blah, and he was just sort of telling him just to sort of relax. And I really enjoyed that. But then the second verse with Paul Wall. Now Paul Wall was one of those rappers. He's a Houston dude. He was the one that made everyone the grills. Like he was actually like a jeweler and made the grills, and he was in that grills song and he was good in that too. But he has a verse in that one which is like really good. I just remember like oh fuck, Paul Wall's good. And then I downloaded like his album and was like, well yeah, I don't like his stuff, but he's one of those guys that was just like a really good feature. Some guys are just great features. But yeah, same way that like I mean this always gets a laugh whenever I tell people, but Pitbull when he first started, he was a great feature. Yeah. And then he started making his own tracks, and he had a couple of decent tracks, and then he just went, I can just make a lot of money making shit music, and just went down that sort of like a la Flow Rider.
Yeah, and then they made a song together, and I knew it was going to happen.
But it was just like, no, there was some skill, and there is some skill sometimes being the good guy, like the good feature guy, same way that T-Pain made a career just being the good hook guy. Yeah. But that, and then there's off My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which is the greatest album ever made. Fight me.
Okay, yeah. Let's go.
Monster.
Okay.
Now, Monster, the track, it's Kanye, Jay-Z, Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
Nicki kills the other 2.
Yeah, wow.
Her verse on Monster is, I would even go as far to say, best verse by a female in hip-hop history.
Yeah.
I think it is outstanding. Remember the first time I heard it, she's like last. It's like, it goes Kanye, it goes Jay-Z, and then it goes her, and just like, oh shit, she fucking killed the other 2. Like, she was just really, really good. This is like pop song Nicki. Like, she'd started to get into that sort of zone, but yeah, her verse on that, I definitely recommend everyone go back and listen to that one.
I like watching Nicki Minaj's videos more than I like listening to Nicki Minaj videos.
Don't get me wrong, I don't mind the visuals to go along with the audio. But
speaking of featurings, though, I've got a really good song from Kendrick Lamar's album, the Mad City one.
Yeah, Good Kid, Bad City.
Yeah, and it's actually cool. There's a song they did with a guy that from the 90s that you'd fondly remember from Compton's Most Wanted, MCA. He did a really, really good song back in the 90s.
I remember, like, 8 was misspelt. Like, didn't have a G in it. EIT. It was just like, where's the G? You fucking idiot.
I think that might have been like, because he was trying I don't know. Maybe
there's something behind it, I'm aware, but it just always annoyed me. When I always see it spelt, I'm just like, oh, it's wrong.
MCA.
Yeah.
Well, he had a great song called Straight Up Menace, and it actually came out with the actual film, The Menace Society.
Yeah.
Because he was in the film. And it was a great song. But otherwise, I didn't think he was much. He was quite big in the States maybe, but for me, I didn't think it
didn't quite carry over.
Didn't carry. But then he comes back 20 years later with Kendrick Lamar's song, and what's so cool about it is that the song's broken up in 2 bits.
Yeah.
Is that like what was called a rhapsody? Like remember Bohemian Rhapsody? How they had those various parts? Is that what
I'm probably not?
is?
I'm not qualified to say yes or no,
Just
but
go with it.
Yeah.
Facts don't matter.
Facts don't matter.
Yeah, it is, bro. Let's go with it, man.
So
So you know those rhapsodies and stuff, those songs. Well, and it comes up, and it the whole thing changes. They sound like 2 different songs, but it's the same track. And MCA comes out from retirement and dropped an unbelievable verse, and you should get onto that one.
Well, yeah, because I mean, Kendrick's got a lot of stuff. He's very lyrical, and sometimes it's a bit too much for me. So like, you've got to be in the mood for some Kendrick. Like, although the one album, the Pimp a Butterfly, it has all the jazz samples and stuff like that. And I'm a big fan, like I said, because I love McCartney, I love some old music, love some old samples, so I can listen to that one anytime. But he did the unofficial soundtrack to the Black Panther movie. So some of his songs were on the actual Black Panther movie, but he made his own album, like to make a soundtrack. And there's one called King's Dead, which is him and Future and a couple other guys. And Future has one of the weirdest verses for Future's song, but it kind of works. It's kind of cool. It's like one of those ones. It's like first time you hear it, like what the fuck is that? And then it's one of those ones where it kind of just grows on you, and now you just love it. Like first time you hear it, you probably hate it, and the next time you hear it, you're like, I love it. It's almost like becoming like a cult favorite.
Yeah,
but Kendrick's bit right at the end, and I remember he used it on, I think it was like American Music Awards.
Okay.
He used that last bit, and it was like the visual on stage with everybody on stage, and every time he was like, fuck you, blah, 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 blah. And every time he said that, someone got gunned down on the stage. So it was a real good visual to go with this.
Sure.
So I always have that in my head, so then that verse feels even more powerful for me. But I think we'll end with the last one, so we'll end the show on, this is one that we can probably universally agree on. Anyone our age will also enjoy it too. Ice Cube's Today Was a Good Day.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Like I said, we talk about stories and songs.
Yeah.
And like I said,
things are story.
Not the hardest, like, verse he's ever done. You know what I mean? Like, not even like the hardest hip hop of all time. But anytime you can get a line that just gets into the lexicon, like so much so that anytime any player in the NBA gets a triple-double, rather than fucked around and got a triple-double,
yes.
ESPN will be like, oh, Russell Westbrook messed around and got a triple-double. But they will always use some sort of quote from that song. Like, everyone has, because it's just that, it's that ultimate, it's one of those songs where when you're listening to it, you get a feeling of where you should be.
Sure.
So when you're listening to that song, you feel like you should be cruising.
Oh, definitely.
Sun's out.
Yeah.
You're having a good day. And like it's just sun is smiling, sun shining. It's just you just have that visual to go with. You feel like this should be happening when I'm listening to this song, and I just think that was perfect.
It is. And that is the original version. I think it's off Predator. I can't remember which album it's off, but yeah, he actually did bring out a B-side version of it, which is very polarizing. Some people like it. It's got these, I think, violins in the background or something, but everyone remembers that line.
Yeah,
and it's a great one. And I think I remember even seeing an internet meme come out one day, and it said something like Ice Cube came out. I think he was doing the 3-on-3 stuff, and he was dressed up, and they dropped that meme, the quote on it, and it's one of the best lines because everyone remembers it, and whether it's from here or even America. Talking to Speed before we started recording, my brother was lived in the States for years, and he was driving in this car with this fella who was across the other side of the world, and we listened to this song called Daytona 500 by Ghostface, and they would sing the exact same bit out loud, and like as Speed pointed out to me, music brings people together.
It does.
As this is one great line. It's just funny that someone from Little Adelaide over here and someone who was raised in a ghetto over there, same piece of music.
Yeah, both picked the same line out of the same song.
Line because
that's the one. And that's the thing. I mean, like, if you're not a hip hop fan, I understand. Just some people don't like it. Guys like us, we sort of grew up on it.
Yeah,
and it's just it can bring some people together. It's a good any sort of music really brings people together. I just love music. I don't get people go, I don't really listen to music. I'm like, what's wrong with you? So yeah, that's one thing I don't get. But yeah, we'll end it on that this week. So if you've got any other classics, I know Brett's probably going to be like, gosh, you forgot this one again, or someone's going to chime in with, I can't believe you missed this. I know Benny's going to have some verses that we probably missed, or we probably messed up the line, because Ben's good with his memory of verses. Yes. I know he's quite a good rap along.
Yes.
But that's going to be us for this week, guys. If you've got any questions or any help for Steve with his whippersnipper problems, send it through, or just send through lots of complaints about the fact that Steve never posts anything he says he's going to do. But that's going to be us for this week. For Speed Carolina saying goodbye, for Steve Burrows.
See you later.
We'll speak to you next week. Peace.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.